And today's first one is one that's been going around probably for about probably like 5 years now, which is the whole broad match and smart bidding strategy. Google has been pushing this for years, probably even since 2018, I reckon. Like they've been pushing the broad match with the smart bidding strategy for a long time. But as time is progressing with Google, and they're changing the match types, and they probably will remove all match types in the soon future. Exact is not exact. Broad is whatever broad is now. You can literally universal, essentially. It's still a strategy that comes up a lot. People talk about it, and Google pushes it to a lot of businesses. So just wanted to open up the forum with us and chat about the broad match and smart bidding strategies of when we use it, if we use it, and how we use it.
Yeah, I think one of the biggest narratives that you hear is it's either good or bad. And that's just human nature, right? We like to see things black or white. So, I like to see each match type, keyword match type, as a specific tool for a specific purpose, right? So broad match, for those that aren't familiar, it's going to be the loosest matching in terms of you give it a keyword. You say, I want to go after XYZ products or service. Go ahead and find me and show ads for Google searches or Microsoft searches or whatever that are relevant to that thing I want you the keyword that I'm targeting, right? So you give it a keyword input. It tries to find you people that are searching for something very similar to that keyword. Yep. Okay, pretty simple. Now, broad match is the loosest in that regard. It says, I think this is loosely similar to the keyword that you are giving me in terms of a target. Here, let's show ads to these people. So it is going to be probably the least efficient, arguably, especially in the beginning. Phrase match is a little bit more targeted, right? A little bit more targeted. It's not going to be as widely matching to different search terms. So that's kind of the balance between that broad match and exact match, which is the most narrow. It is the closest thing to what you're putting in. Now, the lines, Michael, as you know, over the years have started to get a little bit more flimsy over the years between phrase match and exact match. With this new thing, we have close variant matching. You might see that in your match type reports. That is where Google says, well, it's closer to exact, but it's kind of leaning a little more towards phrase. That's just the easiest way to say it. That's not how the documentation is going to tell you, but that's kind of what it's doing. The phrase match close variant is like, it leans a little more broad match than just pure phrase match. So hopefully that gives you guys a little bit of a background of what we're even talking about with broad match.
So do you currently run much broad match, Cory?
Yeah, there are going to be times where, again, the purpose is for me to find search terms that we have not already totally monopolized and dominated on. We're looking for incremental gains in the account in terms of visibility. Or there's times when we want to use broad match to try to go after keywords that we, for policy reasons, can't go after, right? Like certain medical terms or whatever. It's kind of a way around. If you want to call it a hack, okay, but it's nothing new.
We love hacks. We love hacks.
Everyone loves the hacks. The broad match is going to give you the opportunity to kind of go after those terms without actually targeting them specifically through the Google platform. So it's kind of a way around it. Now, Google may or may not still show for those things. You won't be able to control it as well, but that's one reason to use them, or a couple of different reasons to use them.
Yeah. It's an interesting way to use it. I'd say it's like an outlier strategy. It should not be part of your day-to-day strategy, in my personal opinion.
Yep.
Google does position it as the core strategy that you should be running.
Yep.
And as we've spoken about before, Google used to be like a sniper channel. You just go after the keywords you want, you get your sales, you move on with life. You're just snipering. Now it's really going for that broad market strategy, basically be seen. Don't get results, but be seen. Yep. And this does help you be seen for everything and anything very loosely related to your product or service or business. So when it does come to using broad match, it really comes to aligning with your business and your outcomes and your goals. If your business and outcomes and goals are like, look, I need a certain return on ad spend or a certain cost per lead, you're not going to get it from broad match. You're not. Broad match is going to be more exploratory, keyword mining, keyword exploration, building, being seen more. Does that equate to better results? My direct experience is no. Just straight up. I have not seen it. I've run on many accounts. And many a times people will say, well, when you layer it with the smart bidding or the automation side, when you've got all that data, it can start like honing towards those people. I still don't think the technology's there yet. It just doesn't seem to be, from my experience. The times I do run it are for clients where they're in a very the search impression share on the standard search is actually going quite well, very well. And there might be in a location that's like there's a geographic proximity limitation just because that's where they service. So the way I've gone about it, and still do because I've got it on a few accounts, number one, making sure that there's a high volume of conversions in the account. So at least that when it starts doing all its chaos, it's got some sort of North Star to move towards. Number two, the campaigns, if it has multiple conversion points in the account, making sure that the campaign goals are most aligned with the ones that I want it to prospect towards rather than, for example, if you could do a fill in a form or download a brochure or click on a phone number, I would want the highest intent one. So at least like it's pinging towards the highest intent outcome. The other thing is, and this is I've always done this, is making sure there's a really strong negative keyword list on that campaign, not to only stop bad traffic coming in, but more importantly, stop it from cannibalizing traffic from existing search campaigns that are going very well. Yep. The existing campaigns that I've got exact or phrase match that are getting the results. I don't want this broad match campaign to be cannibalizing the high quality traffic because this is there for exploration, not necessarily to get better results.
Yeah, can I jump in there real quick? Because I think that's really important. I want to emphasize
Cory,
that. So broad match is very much going to want to monopolize all of the budget for a campaign,
yes.
Whether that's across a shared budget or an individual campaign level budget. So you really, I want to emphasize that point. You've really got to be careful about if you're going to start including a broad match keyword or set of broad match keywords inside of a campaign that already has a search campaign that has exact and or phrase match.
That's the big point.
I would not usually advise that. I would usually, again, you see it as an explorer. It's an exploratory tool. You're not expecting amazing efficiency out of it. You probably want to dedicate an experimental amount of budget in the account, which means because budgets are going to be at the campaign level, you got to move that to a separate campaign. Sounds like you're on board with that.
That's exactly it. As you started speaking, I just realized I made an assumption that people would go, oh yeah, I'll put this into a separate campaign so I can monitor and manage in the budget. I was wrong. Guys, do not put broad match keywords into existing campaigns with other match types. It will cannibalize and Google will prioritize it. So, mate, thank you for pointing that out because that's actually a really crucial point here that if you cannot, and I've just noticed this, if you're segmenting an account, always do it on a campaign level. Don't experiment within existing ad groups or existing keyword groups because it will just move towards that. And then you're not actually running an experiment. You don't actually have control because if you cannot see it clearly, you cannot control it clearly, you actually have no influence over it. You're not running an experiment. You're just kind of like putting stuff in the mud.
Well, that's a good way to put it, right? I mean, broad match, again, it is an experimental tool. You're looking for Google's favorite word, expansion. You're looking for incremental growth. You're looking for discovery of new things that you're not controlling somewhere else. So see it as experimental, whereas the phrase is kind of a mix of like a little bit of experimental, but not too crazy. It's like a conservative experimental thing, whereas exact is like, I want as much control over the matching as possible.
Yeah. So when you're running your Google Ads campaigns, in general, you want to, if granted we're talking about search here, not shopping, PMAX, is you want to have like a really clean, well-structured account where on a campaign level, you can see all the different lines of business. It's really easy to click in and go, I know what's happening here. I know what it's targeting, but also I've got full strategic control being at like the phrase types are there. So then you know that the search terms coming in, the quality of the traffic's hitting at whatever stage of the funnel, but it's clear. Once again, this is experimental. You'd want to isolate it. You'd want to split it out. It's just you cannot put this into existing campaigns. When I audit accounts and we take on accounts, if I ever see broad match in one like a campaign that's mixed in, it just number one, I'll turn it off and then put it out. But it's just like you can't win. You can't win because it's giving too much power over to the Google ecosystem, which is not aligned with the direct goal of high return on ad spend, e-commerce wise, but more important, like lead generation wise. It is there to be seen more visibility, but visibility with advertising is expensive and does not equal results.
Also, quick shout out. We have done a video in case you're wondering, like, oh man, my situation is that I've got broad match mixed with phrase and exact all in the same campaign. It's a mess. And I see the problems you guys are mentioning. How do I move away from that? We have a video dedicated just to that. So check out our channel for that, like how to move away from broad match when it's getting all mixed up into the same campaign. So we do have something on that. Go ahead.
And we don't know what the video title is, so you got to watch all our videos.
You got to watch every single video, from 2 years ago. Yep. I also want to add don't forget that, because if you're just saying, okay, I want to experiment, I want to try this broad match thing, okay, go for it. Here's the thing, though. You're going to sit there and you're going to go, well, which broad match keywords do we start with? Should I just put in a couple of words and just hope that Google can do the best and add negative keywords? Well, my general advice is going to be do what we call long tail broad match keywords. So we're talking at least bare minimum 3 words in that keyword, but preferably 4 or more, right? You want to, every single word you put in there is going to be a little bit more insight to Google as to what specifically you are looking for in terms of intent. So be very conscious that you're not just putting in like a 1 word or a 2 word broad match keyword. Yes, it can be done. Yes, we do it, but it's very situational, and that is more of an outlier situation. For most accounts, you're not going to want to be messing with 1 or 2 word broad matches. It's going to go way too wild, because it's almost like in this AI world, we're all used to the ChatGPT or the Geminis. It's like you open up a prompt and you're like, question.
Write code.
Write code. And it's like, what do you want me to do here? And it just does the best with what it can. Or like, just give me life advice. And then it doesn't really know. It's similar to that. So don't do that.
I love that, because it falls back to an initial strategy that once I started doing ads like 10 years ago, was around this whole idea of the highest intent keywords would be the product or service plus location, being it like car mechanic Hawthorne, rather than just going car mechanic and targeting. Because when you put the location in there, people are local, there's an intent to it. It'd be the same here. Make sure that the keywords you're using, rather than just like car mechanic, because that could pull car mechanic jobs, car mechanic PDF. How do I become a car mechanic? Car mechanic Hawthorne. At least it starts to show there's an intent. I think here it's like put words that have intent in it, rather than just the product/service, because the product/service could mean so many things on so many levels. When you put a keyword in there as well that has an intent to it, at least on a hypothetical level or theoretical level, Google will be able to attempt to do it. Now, we all know that they'll just give us the other rubbish as well. The other thing to mention is just using what bidding type to use with it. So, max clicks, manual cost per clicks, maximize conversions, target return on ad spend. When you do this, Cory, or when you would suggest someone to do it, in general, what would you suggest would be the approach? What bidding type would you go after?
Yeah, this is definitely, and it depends. It's a very situational thing. Again, like match types, the bidding strategy is very much a tool for a specific job. So you need to see it that way. It's not this one always with broad match. Sometimes you need maximum visibility, and that might be maximize conversion value without a target ROAS. That's going to be, maybe it's maximize conversions if value isn't a part of your account, conversion value isn't part of your account. If you need it to be more cost per acquisition based because that fits your business model, well, then obviously the obvious choice is target cost per acquisition. So it's just very situational. I mean, you do, generally speaking, I think the basic principle is you want to pair broad match with smart bidding, because I mean, even in Google's own documentation, they are trying to tell you like you have to do this. I'm not saying you have to, but they're just saying like they're made to be put together. Not like broad match can't be done with manual CPC, but it's just doesn't really make a ton of sense. I mean, again, they're kind of built for each other. Your thoughts?
I agree. My approach, and this is just me, I would always start off with manual cost per click, only because I would want to control the cost per click bidding to ensure that it doesn't, if it's a $3 bid I'm going after, it doesn't just have a $30 bid on some keyword because like the algorithm did it. The other reason why I say manual CPC from the start would be to have full control over the bidding when you are unfamiliar with the search terms that are coming through. So I really think that regardless of the budget, within the first 3 to 15 days, you would see probably the theme of keywords coming in, and I would be looking at the campaign on a day, multiple times a day, and just adding a really aggressive negative keyword list, keywords that your existing negative keyword list wouldn't have picked up because you had better targeting. So starting off manual, that way you have that transparency on the search terms, but also the cost like thresholds. So then it's just not bidding $50 on one search term. You're like, dude, what has happened here? Which we've all seen. We've all seen it, and it makes us all go crazy. It's like, my average cost per click is $5. Why did it bid $50 on this one search term? And that just gets everyone. So by having control at the start, at least over the quality of the traffic, then you can start to move. Well, from my opinion, I'd move to a maximize conversions or target ROAS from there. But just always having that financial control at the start when the quality is unknown and unclear.
Yeah, don't forget too, there is an in-between option, is portfolio bidding strategies. It sounds really advanced. It's not. You literally just go to your search bar in the UI, type in portfolio bidding strategies, go to that screen, you create one, you connect one or more campaigns to it. The beauty of this is you can do a smart bidding strategy and assign a max bid cap. So that way, if you're going in, there's no way we want to pay more than like $5 a click. Boom, put that in there. $5 is the cap. You can still then get the best of both worlds, where you get the intent signals that smart bidding is going to use to find relevant users and traffic, as well as being able to control some of the costs. So it's a really nice in between that people forget about, I think, a lot.
I forgot to say that because that's the actual strategy I use.
Whoops.
The only thing I don't like about it, it's really inconvenient to update it. So it's like, it's one of these things. Yeah. So that's what I use on all clients for the broad match strategy is portfolio bid strategy with max bid caps, just because it's like, that's the only area where you can have target CPA and the target ROAS with like that actual control over maximum bidding.
Well, it's a good point you just made, because it is tougher to control. It is something you're usually going to start with and maybe have to move away from based on the data, because you're going to say, well, I can't just assign a max bid cap to every ad group in that campaign or something. You're going to want a little bit more control as you get some more data. But for low volume accounts, it's a really good option in terms of low conversion volume, click volume. Really good option.
Nice.